Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with this week's tech guru. But first, we always want to acknowledge our podcast partners, the Florida Coaches Coalition, We Coach, Global Community of Women in High School Sports, and Vital Signs Wall of Fame. These are four companies that you need to add to your network. So check them out. And right now, don't hit that fast forward button. Stay with us. We're going to give our sponsors their shout out. Only take about 3 minutes. So please listen because these are all fantastic sponsors. We want to say thanks to Gipper for their support of the podcast. Go to Gipper.com and see how athletic directors are creating custom branded content for their school social media channel. Mention our podcast code ADPOD10 and you'll get 10% off. That's Gipper.com. Create world-class content for your school's social media channel. We also want to thank Huddle. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. Huddle is going to provide your teams, your coaches, your athletes with the tools they need to compete at the highest level. It's going to be a complete professional grade solution to the challenges that you face. At Huddle, we believe in sports and teams believe in Huddle. Join the 6 million users and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to thank Snap Mobile. Go to snapraise.com and you're going to find an entire suite of platforms designed to help you do your job better. There's Snap Connect, Snap Store, Snap Manage. You'll also find Snap Raise, their fundraising platform. We have used it with great success, and they've helped schools just like yours raise over $700 million. They even have a program where they'll give you your money before you actually start your fundraiser. Nobody else offers that. For more information about the entire suite, go to snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and schedule a live web demo to see their tables and their boards in action. They not only generate income for your department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. That's sidelineinteractive.com. We want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. They're going to show you how to set up and sell tickets online, not just for your athletic events, but things like school plays and concerts, school dances, even graduation. And every step of the way, you're going to have a dedicated client success manager that's providing you hands-on support. That's every step of the way. You'll find it all at hometownticketing.com. Simple and easy online ticketing. We also want to say thank you to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. You know, they're on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. The Wall of Fame is an interactive touchscreen video console that's going to highlight your school's top performers, both past and present, in athletics, academics, and the arts, but it's so much more than that. The Wall of Fame is also an extensive content program that's going to help you tell more compelling stories to better engage your audience. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their great products, and when you're ready to order, use the link vitalsignswalloffame.com/Jake for a nice discount. That's Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Check them out today. And we want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic surveys are a quick and easy way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire program. ADs usually only hear back from that 2%, the squeaky wheel parent or the frustrated student athlete. And we need to hear back from them so we can affect positive change in our department. But we also need to hear back from the 98% that really love and support our program. And that's where Athletic Surveys comes in. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of your parents and your student athletes. Go to athleticsurveys.com and get started today. Athletic Surveys, let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another tech tip on the Educational AD Podcast Tech Tuesday segment. It's where we bring in tech experts from the world of athletic administration to share their expertise with you. Today, we've got one of our regular contributors, maybe even the founding contributor, Scott Paine. Scott Paine is a certified master athletic administrator, longtime school-based AD, has his own athletic company, Athletic Tech, and also works with Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Scott, what do you have for that technically challenged athletic director like a Jake on today's Tech Tuesday?
Yeah, happy Tuesday, everybody. Always happy to be back on, Jake. This one, so again, I'm the last couple I've done been kind of around the platform of branding. This one is just another one. I was trying to think of different things that I had to do when I was, doing branding for an athletic department. And sometimes you have to get, there's an aspect of a photo that you want. In other words, of just getting it and it's on your screen and you can't get it. How can you take a screenshot of something? And a lot of people just use like the print screen option, and then they're like, well, then I still have to edit that. There's a lot of add-ons. I use Chrome. I use Google Chrome as my web, browser. There's a lot of extensions. You can go to the Chrome App Store and you can find them, and they're free, and they go onto most of them are free, and they go onto your dashboard on your Chrome, and you can click them whenever you need to up in the corner and utilize them. The one I use for screenshots and screen recording, it's called Awesome Screenshot and Screen Recorder. Very intuitive name there. You can type that into Google. It should pop up the Chrome link for you. Again, it's called Awesome Screenshot and Screen Recorder. It's free. I've never had any issues with it asking for money. But you can take parts of the screen. You can take the whole screen in a picture or in a screen recording. It also allows you, say you're doing a game day program for the away school. And you need to mark up a Google map of your school, and you're trying to show like where to park the bus. This is the entrance to this facility. You can do a screenshot of that, and it allows you within that app to start drawing lines on it. It's very basic, so you can't overly do it, but you can draw lines on it, and you can type in main entrance for teams, or away locker room is here, and you park the bus there, and away fans can park here, and then you can download that into a JPEG or a PNG, wherever you're going to throw it, and send it off. Same thing for screen recording. You can use that. I can, if Jake brings me back for more, I have another one that I use called Screencastify, and I can talk more on that for y'all in a different episode. But there's a lot of screen recorders out there. This one is just tagged onto the screenshot application.
Screen pacify, that has a whole different meaning, for me. But again, these apps that you share, it's something that I think the rank and file AD that's scheduling buses and games and facilities and working with coaches and parents, they just haven't added those particular tools to their toolbox. So it's so great that you can find those and share them. We've talked before about maybe your first line of defense. Go to YouTube, type in what you're looking for, and it's probably going to pop up. But if one of our listeners does feel they want to talk to the man directly, what's the best way that they get a hold of Scott Paine?
Yeah, my personal email is the best way to say hi to me and connect. I check it every day. It's my last name, Paine, period. My first name, Scott. So my last name is Paine, and period Scott @gmail.com. And then you can find me on Twitter and LinkedIn as well. So if you're on those platforms and like to just talk through that, you're more than welcome to reach out to me there. And I respond pretty quickly across all three of those. So very easy to get a hold of me, and I'm happy to point you in the right direction for things that you're trying to find that maybe you want to utilize better, or to make your life a little bit easier. On that screen recording one, just again, that app does screen recording. If you're trying to like address something or show, do a recorded, presentation that you want to be able to make it be asynchronous where someone could just watch it whenever, that's a great application to use the screen recorder for. If you're trying to walk somebody, you can record your screen. It doesn't mean you have to be on it. You cannot be on it. I have a face for radio. So let's you can take yourself off that screen, record your screen and what you're doing clicking wise. And it's great if you're trying to show the first time family to your school how to maybe, register your child through whatever registration software you use, whether that's, I know Final Forms is your sponsor. So if you're using Final Forms for the first time, I think they have tutorial videos too, but if you're making one that's for your population, it's really easy with a screen recorder that comes like with this app that I just talked about today. So very easy to do those one-offs that you can just post, and then you and whoever else in your athletic department, your secretary, you get those questions all the time. Hey, I don't know how to register my child. And you're like, well, I did a PDF of, step by step, but people didn't read it. So videos are sometimes a really easy medium to get your point across. And people nowadays, I mean, if you think about it, everyone has a smartphone, right? And a lot of people watch their content, not read their content. So it's very easy to record those one-off videos for yourselves. And then you and your secretary can point people to that video wherever it's posted on your website and watch that content as well. So.
Wow, that's a 2-for-1 on our
Yeah.
tech tips today. Great stuff. Also, you have been doing your own podcast for a while. Go and tell our listeners a little bit about that and why they should tune in. And listeners, you should.
Yeah. So myself and Thomas Fredrickson, he goes by Freddie. He's out of South Carolina. Both him and I co-teach with a couple other guys in the national faculty for LTC, LTI 613 and 614 are the tech courses. And him and I met through that, and him and I just were wanting to do a podcast where we're, taking insight from what's currently happening to ADs in the trench, whatever role you're in, for current topics. And so when we first had the idea of it, we greatly enjoy just like the talk show discussions, just talking. Him and I are pretty good friends, so him and I talk. We have small kids. We're on the other end of the spectrum from you, Jake, in that regard. And so we talk about a lot of things that have to do with 2-year-olds and up to 6-year-olds and whatnot. And in the beginning, we talk sports. Him and I are both sport junkies, so we talk whatever's kind of current for sports. And then we try to take on a current topic and bring in somebody to be a co-host with us on the. Our guests have said they like being the co-host with us. You're through the whole episode. We kind of intro you, but the most of it is you're going to talk sports with us. Then you end up talking about a current topic. So like we've talked about official shortages. We've talked about NIL. We've talked about leadership. We'll end up talking about sports medicine and social media programs, strength and conditioning programs throughout the time. We have a lot of fun guests coming on that have reached out to us that's just said, hey, we'd love to just have fun with you. But we get you can find us at theadpodcast.com. And then we're on Twitter. Both Freddie and I are on Twitter. We're both on LinkedIn. And then we've made landing profiles for the AD podcast on Twitter and LinkedIn. And we reshare content that we see both, from Jake and other podcasts. We reshare content that we see. Like there's a new company called Ref Reps out there that are, they're revitalizing how you learn how to be an official and get more impact in there. They do a lot with Massachusetts, and we had Richard Pearson on, who's the MIAA director up there, associate director. And he's talked about Ref Reps. And so like those types of things that maybe you don't know are happening around the country, we reshare on those platforms a lot. And then people reach out to us all the time on that. And then we have an email, athleticdirectorpod@gmail.com. You can ask if you want to be a guest. You can find out if you want to, you listen to an episode and you're like, man, we're really struggling with, and then name X, Y, and Z. No joke, we've probably taken everyone's suggestion at this point and have lined out at least 20 something episodes that we'll do. We do 2 a month. So we try to do it every 2 weeks. Our episodes are anywhere between like an hour to an hour and a half. It just really depends on how much into the conversation we get. We had Dr. Scott Grant on for our third episode for NIL. And I mean, the conversations just started going, and there's just so many questions that we had about NIL that it just was a very organic conversation to keep going. So we ended up going well past, we I think ideally went with, we wanted to do it for an hour. And we started realizing some of these conversations you can't keep to a 35-minute segment on that. Or the person talking about it is very passionate, and then we have questions from it too. And so that discussion just keeps rolling. And so that's the fun part. And then we learn about the person, if you're ever in their place where they live, where do they eat and what are they reading or something along those lines. We don't always get to those questions, but we try to have that kind of like the fun ending piece, because I think a lot of ADs read, right? Readers, leaders are readers. And so that's always a fun one. I like knowing what people are reading all the time. And then it's just, I like to eat. So we figure that's a pretty easy one for people to throw us their favorite one. The NIAAA crew was probably the best because they all named St. Elmo's and Indy. And I almost expect if Phil Rison's listening to this, that he's going to take me to St. Elmo's if I ever come to Indianapolis. So just throwing that out there for him. But it's a fun one. If you want to be a part of it, it's easy to get a hold of us and hop on. And we're always happy to schedule people to get on and do the show with us. And hopefully it's a resource. And just like what you do, Jake, we just try to add some, both Freddie and I like professional development. And as much as it's very semi-professional on our end. So you'll laugh, you'll have some fun. It's very, very not scripted. And so for us, it's just a fun time for us.
So again, it is very much worth your while, listeners. Check it out. It's the AD podcast with Scott Paine and Thomas Freddie Fredrickson. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts from. Scott, thanks for sharing with us today. Again, truly appreciate it, and all the best as we continue with this spring sports season.
Absolutely. I'll see you around through it, Jake.
For our listeners, we do this every single Tuesday. We appreciate you tuning in. We also upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. Thanks for your support. We'll see you next time on Tech Tuesday and just about every day on the Educational AD Podcast. And before we go, we do want to give our sponsors one more shout out. Sideline Interactive. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Check out their great products. Athletic surveys by LifeTrack. They can connect you, help you take the pulse of your parents and your student athletes with a custom survey. Go to athleticsurveys.com to get started. We want to thank Gipper. If you're not using Gipper to brand your school's content, you should really check it out. And if you go to Gipper.com and mention the podcast, they'll give you 10% off. That's Gipper.com. We also want to thank Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all your teams, for all the events, or your school's Hall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Mention the podcast. They'll give you a nice discount too. We want to thank Huddle. It's not just for football anymore. Our school was a Huddle school, and yours can be too. Go to huddle.com to get started. We want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Do I need to say anything more? Go to hometownticketing.com and get started today. And we want to thank Snap Mobile. Go to snapraise.com to check out their entire suite of platforms. It'll make your life easier as an AD. And the fundraising platform is second to none. You'll find it all at snapraise.com. This has been Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. We will see you next time. Thanks so much for listening today.